was the scorecard and he was losing.
I think that Larry thought he was in a tremendous competition with Bill Gates, and Bill Gates didn't think so much. Larry wanted to be recognized as the greatest innovator, salesman, evangelist in the world of software. And he had a steep battle going up against the guy who put his software in every single personal computer practically in the world.
Ellison was fixated on Gates. He would later admit publicly to hiring private detectives to dig up dirt on him. Gates' new product, Windows 95, had the entire tech world buzzing, including Ellison himself in this appearance on The Charlie Rose Show.
This Windows 95 is an enormously complicated piece of software. And the idea that people can install this in their households and can manage these things in their household, to me, is hilarious. It's time for something that's easier to do. This is clearly part of our strategy to turn on Microsoft. But the way to turn on Microsoft is not something that can turn dark to Bill Gates and hate angry Bill Gates. You have to think about products and create products that are better than the products that Microsoft is selling.
Ellison made a move into the consumer device market. He called it the Network Computer, or NC.
He launched the network computer with great fanfare.
The computers we currently make, personal computers, are rather expensive,
Right.
very, very complex. So we've introduced this new class of computer for normal human beings with very low cost,
Pretty.
very low cost, very lightweight. Now every person can use a computer because they're low cost and very easy to use.
You can surf the net. You can do email on. And he said, and it's going to be $500, kind of an internet appliance, so to speak. No different than your toaster.
I remember having a discussion with him saying, the internet makes it possible to imagine a world without Microsoft's operating system on every desktop. And that was really, the birth of the MC.
Ellison went on a campaign to promote the power of his new baby on the web, while mocking the popular PC.
I hate the PC with a passion. Put the stuff on the net. It's bits. Don't put bits in cardboard. Cardboard in trucks. Trucks to stores. When you go to the store, pick this stuff out. It's insane. I love the internet.
But falling PC prices meant the NC was destined to fail.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the idea. I actually just think it was premature. 5 years later, it would have won the world. The only difference is all the PC manufacturers, Dell, HP, everybody else, Gateway, what did they do? They created a $500 PC that serves the web really well, and it does email really well.
And that shut down Ellison's venture into the consumer market. His NC was too far ahead of its time, but his vision of the internet was still right on top of it.
Oracle database became the underpinnings of all of the internet services that we take for granted today. Expedia, Amazon, eBay, go down the list of applications, all of them storing all that information, creating that information, delivering that information, doing the transaction, including all the database. People thought that was crazy to have it. It's genius.
Going to solve the biggest IT problem in history.
By 2000, Larry Ellison's company, Oracle, was among the elite tech companies in the world. But internal struggles would soon force out the company's president and chief operating officer, Ray Lane, who had risen to second in command and heir apparent. He described the culture of the company he left.
Wasn't good enough for a salesman to make their quota. They had to make 200% of the quota. It was the top 10% get rewarded millions, and everybody else falls by the way. They're weak soldiers, shoot them.
A departing Lane said he didn't fit into Oracle's system, and that the only person making decisions at Oracle is Larry.
Lots of people that transitioned in at Oracle got confused who was in charge. And that's a pretty volatile, that's like a galactic collision. Where two stars hit, it's a pretty violent explosion.
Oracle, the company, was on a roll, but was lagging behind in one key area.
We're still fighting to be relevant in the applications world.
We're the number 2 application provider in the world, and we're number 2 in ERP behind SAP, who's number 2 is getting old. We're number 2 in CRM behind Siebel, but we're growing faster than SAP, and we're growing faster than Siebel, and we're determined to become become number one in applications, that's like we're number one in database.
To get to number one, Ellison needed to do something his company had long avoided: buying new technology through acquisition.
When he came to that conclusion, he opened his wallet and bet big, far bigger than anyone else did. And in fact, he did far faster than anyone else did.
Ellison wanted to bundle new application software with Oracle's successful product line. In 2003, he targeted the company PeopleSoft in a hostile takeover attempt. The Department of Justice sued Oracle on antitrust grounds, charging the takeover would empower the company to illegally raise rates and impair innovation. After a 1.5-year long battle, the courts sided with Oracle. Ellison finally acquired PeopleSoft for $10.3 billion.
Very rare that someone gets sued by the government and they actually win. You know, which is another testament to this guy's tenacity. Most guys would maybe walk away from that.
Instead, Ellison stepped it up. Over the next 5 years, he would spend close to $34 billion acquiring 52 companies. Heather Bellini is Senior Managing Director of the Technology Research Team at International Strategy and Investment Group. She has covered Oracle since 2003.
He started looking out and seeing how the landscape was changing and how the carnage that was done to some of his competitors was going to give him an opportunity to go make some acquisitions and buy some technology where he was behind. And he really was the one that started the whole M&A trend within the technology industry.
Ellison's appetite for acquisitions accelerated in 2009 with his $7.4 billion trophy purchase of the prominent hardware company Sun Microsystems. But in 2010, his eyes were on another trophy, a decade-long $400 million obsession. BMW Oracle Racing was launched in 2000 for Ellison's run to the America's Cup. It may be the oldest active prize in international sport, but what Ellison created was a tiny minute. The boat is a trimaran. It often appears to be nearly flying, with only one of its 3 hulls actually in contact with the water. The oceans have never seen anything like it.
There is absolutely no doubt that he has to lose. There's no doubt of that.
Greg Dalton has competed against Ellison on the America's Cup circuit.
My recollection of racing against him, we will race against him in the future. This is a man that's very determined to win.
On Valentine's Day 2010, Ellison brought the America's Cup back to the United States for the first time in 15 years. He celebrated with his now ex-wife, romance novelist Melanie Clapp. It was his 4th marriage. The old samurai warrior reemerged when his friend Mark Hurd resigned as CEO of Hewlett Packard amid allegations of sexual harassment and expense account irregularities. Ellison was outraged. He attacked the HP board of directors.
He said both the HP board just made the worst personnel decisions since the idiots on the Apple board fired Steve Jobs many years ago.
Exactly 1 month later, Ellison stunned the business world when he turned around and hired the ousted executive. The Silicon Valley soap opera continued when HP named Leo Apotheker as its chief executive. His former company, SAP, is Oracle's biggest rival in business software. SAP and Oracle have been locked in a nasty 3-year copyright infringement case that ended in November 2010.
SAP, the German software firm, was ordered to pay Oracle $1.3 billion.
It was the biggest settlement ever for software piracy. Larry Ellison's brawl had drawn new blood on the information technology battlefield, and as always, he is more determined than ever to win.
Larry Ellison is pretty similar to the New York Yankees. They're the team you love to hate. And as a competitor to Larry Ellison, I'm sure he's the person that people love to hate, just given how successful he's been.
While most visionaries do think this world is talking off their hats and this is how the world can be, you know, Larry sees how the world can be, and then he actually tried to make it happen.
He started with a $1,200 stake in a little company, and by sheer force of will, and persuasion built it into one of the giant software companies of the world.
You know, I don't know. I probably, if you think long term, I can talk about this greatly. But long term, the thing, if you take a really long run view, you know, many decades, maybe even a couple of years, I think the most important work that I'm doing, and I get increasing conviction on this with every passing year, is the work I'm doing at Blue Origin on space travel.
What the fuck? Because I think from a vision standpoint, I think people should appreciate the horizon that we have.
Like all great origin stories, the PayPal Mafia is an origin story that deserves to be told and retold. From social media to the auto and aerospace industries, the impact of the PayPal Mafia is amazing, serving as a launchpad for 6 of its members to become billionaires. And this story begins with Palm Pilots. A Palm Pilot was a specific kind of a device called a personal digital assistant, or a PDA. You see, before the smartphone era, PDAs were cutting-edge handheld PCs with the ability to connect to the internet. They were truly awesome for the time, and they were getting popular by the late 1990s. And it was in 1998 when Peter Thiel and Max Levchin decided to develop technology to allow person-to-person payments via the use of PDAs, namely Palm Pilots. Back in those days, sending money to someone was inconvenient compared to today. You were limited to cash or writing a check, and if you were far apart, you had to send it through the mail. Over the years, credit and debit card infrastructure expanded, but they were only limited to merchants. So with Thiel and Levkin's idea, people could beam money from one another through an app on their Palm Pilots, essentially creating a digital wallet. Thiel graduated from Stanford and worked as a lawyer and was a former derivatives trader in New York before he moved back to San Francisco to start a hedge fund. Upon his return, Thiel delivered a guest lecture at Stanford, and that's where he met Levkin. Levkin, he migrated from the Soviet Union to Chicago when he was 16 in 1991. He went on to the University of Illinois, where he studied to become a computer scientist. After college, he founded an automated marketing software company called NetMeridian, which he ended up selling to Microsoft. Several weeks after they met, Thiel and Levkin came up with the Palm Pilot person-to-person payment idea and founded a company called FieldLink, which changed to Confinity shortly after, Confinity being a fusion of the words confidence and infinity. And then meanwhile, another entrepreneur in the name of Elon Musk had a similar plan, but he wanted to create an entire online bank. Musk was a child prodigy from South Africa, and he taught himself how to program computers at around age 10 to 12. In fact, at the age of 12, he developed a video game called Blastar, and he sold the code of that game for $500, which is around $1,300 today. And by February 1999, at the age of 27, he sold his first startup called Zip2 to Compaq for $307 million, and he received $22 million for that deal. He's founding, Ficker tried to take over by threatening to leave and start another company. but Musk wasn't having it. So a figure left and started his own company, taking majority of the key engineers. Then Musk aggressively hired more engineers as the company recovered. The X.com engineers worked rapidly for the next 3 months, and the bank went online the night before Thanksgiving, at a time which at one point Musk worked 40 hours straight to ensure things worked smoothly. X.com was an actual licensed bank with a partnership with Barclays, the multinational investment bank headquartered out of London. And to kick off the bank, X.com gave $20 to people just for signing up, and then gave $10 for referrals. So X.com, the bank, offered all the functionality of a normal bank, but on top of that, they were offering person-to-person payment services just like Confinity. And within the first months of going live, X.com signed up over 200,000 people. The company would prove to be a formidable competitor to Confinity. Now back at Confinity, the company was working hard creating their person-to-person payment service. Since they were initially targeting Palm Pilot users, they created the online service that we are all familiar with as an afterthought, and they named the service PayPal. With the PayPal online service, people could transfer money with or without a Palm Pilot. The service was free, and similar to X.com's incentive, Confinity gave people $10 just for registering, and they also gave $10 for referring others to register. And this would be a critical element down the road. And at some point around early 2000, Theo found out about X.com's entry into the payment service, and that got him very upset. And that's when the competition really started to heat up. Despite offering limited services compared to X.com, Confinity remained viable due to their marketing efforts and their penetration into the user base of eBay. At this point, eBay was around for about 5 years, and they were growing tremendously. By the year 2000, eBay had over 10 million users, exploding from just 2 million from the year before, and they were hosting an average of 3 million auctions per day. And eBay users were the perfect fit for the person-to-person payment services offered by Confinity and X.com. You see, most eBay users didn't sell enough items to qualify for merchant accounts required to accept credit cards. They were merely regular people selling things. Before person-to-person payment services, buyers had to mail checks or do money orders, and this added about a week to the waiting period before the seller could receive the money and for the buyer to receive the item. And when Confinity realized the potential with eBay, they shifted all of their marketing efforts into targeting eBay users. Their engineers developed an auction logo insertion tool, which allowed eBay sellers to add an HTML PayPal logo to their auctions and help them earn the $10 referral bonus. Naturally, once X.com noticed Confinity targeting eBay, they filed right behind them, pushing their own HTML logo, and this started a battle for growth on the auction site. And then in May 1999, the battle became a battle royale when eBay acquired a credit card processing company called BillPoint so that they too can benefit from person-to-person transactions. And it was their platform that the users were on after all. And in response to all this competition, Confinity came up with an idea that was both brilliant and risky. They started a charity bot that would spider into eBay looking for certain types of auctions, but before bidding, the bot would let sellers know that it's purchasing items for charity, and if they won the item, the seller would need to sign up for PayPal. This bot was so important, Levkin himself took on the development. And then for a period of time, there was a spending war between Confinity and X.com, while the aftermath of eBay's purchase of BillPoint was looming on the horizon. But the battle was short-lived. And the story goes, Confinity's PayPal had the biggest following on eBay, but they were running out of money quickly, spending $100,000 per day on awards for customers, while X.com was not as popular, but they had plenty of available cash to spend. On the same month, eBay launched into the person-to-person payment service market with BillPoint. Confinity and X.com decided to join forces and merge into one company on March 2000 under the name of X.com. The merger resulted in Theo becoming Senior Vice President of Finance, and Levkin remained the Chief Technical Officer. And then Bill Harris was brought on board to become CEO because he was a big name once the CEO of Intuit, the company behind Quicken and QuickBooks. And then Musk, being the biggest shareholder, became chairman of the company. Although the company took the name of X.com, they understandably retained the PayPal service branding. And then, along with the sweeping changes in the leadership roles, there were major changes in the structure of the entire company. What used to be two nimble, creative startups became one slowing, bureaucratic company under the new CEO Harris' direction. And this change would start a rapid whirlpool of dramatic events. You see, after the merger, the new strategy was to target PayPal customers for signing up for X.com's bank accounts. But after 2 months, they didn't make any progress with this strategy, and the company was losing money fast. And Thiel disagreed with Harris from the beginning and blamed him for the company's issues. Harris wanted to start charging people who send money to others, but Thiel opposed the idea because it went against PayPal's sender-friendly business model. Thiel also got pissed off when he found out that Harris used $25,000 of the company's funds to make a political donation. A short while later, after securing $100 million in financing, Thiel resigned as executive vice president. After Thiel's departure, Musk heard the complaints from other executives about Harris' direction for the company. Determined to right the ship, Musk called an emergency board meeting to oust Harris and to take control of the operations, and the board members sided with Musk, who became CEO of the new merged company. Musk then turned over his position as chairman to Thiel, which was a move that would help mend the damaged morale. And amongst all the drama with X.com, eBay's build point was positioning itself to be a formidable nemesis to X.com. Right off the bat, eBay partnered with Wells Fargo, giving them 35% of BuildPoint in exchange for Wells Fargo's payment credibility and expertise. Additionally, they agreed to provide back-end payment processing and customer service support. eBay also made it easier for sellers to add the BuildPoint logos on their auctions, essentially making it harder for sellers to add the PayPal logos. Another tactic eBay pulled was creating a rule that third-party payment logos could be no larger than 88 pixels, which shrank the PayPal logo to 1/4 of its size. On top of that, eBay had free listing days for all sellers that included BuildPoint as a payment option. Despite eBay's efforts, X.com's PayPal continued to grow, but the company was dealing with issues besides eBay at the same time. First, the company was still losing a lot of money. By June 2000, they had an unsustainable burn rate of $10 million per month and growing. Another issue was that since PayPal's user base was growing so large, X.com had to upgrade to a new platform, as the original website that Levkin built was designed for up to 2 million accounts. And the problem was with the new platform. You see, Levkin and the Confinity engineers built PayPal on an Oracle platform, and that is what they were familiar with. Musk and the X.com engineers, on the other hand, built their site on a Windows NT platform. Musk decided that the new scalable version of PayPal would be built on the Windows NT platform, and that really added tension with Levkin and a lot of former Confinity engineers. On top of those issues, X.com had to deal with major cases of fraud. Tech-savvy criminals, largely from the Russian and Nigerian mafias, used PayPal to directly gain cash from stolen credit cards. And this hurt X.com since the victims were allowed to make the merchant liable for the unauthorized use of those cards. One fraud ring alone cost X.com $5.4 million in a 4-month period in the year 2000. So Musk, as CEO, was facing all of these issues on top of competing with the mighty eBay. But his fate as CEO was sealed from none other than differences over branding. Musk was adamant about phasing out the PayPal name and completely using X.com as the face of the company. It was rumored throughout the company that a big part of Musk's gravity towards the name was because he paid $1 million for the rights to the X.com domain. When the time came that Musk instructed to phase out the PayPal name from the company's website, many employees were upset. And it just so happened that Musk gave the instructions before he left for a vacation to the Sydney Olympics. And while Musk was on vacation, David Sachs, an executive with the company, refused to change the website. Further, he and other executives threatened to resign to the board unless Musk was removed from CEO. An employee loyal to Musk caught wind and tried to reach him, but it was too late, and the board voted Musk out as CEO. Musk tried to speak to the board members to retain his position, but at that point, his focus was more on the success of the company than his control. He was worried that critical tasks that needed to be done would not happen, but he talked to Thiel and Levkin, who assured him that things would be taken care of At the end of the day, Musk remained the highest shareholder and had a lot of money riding on the success of the company, whether he was CEO or not. But from that point on, Musk was hands-off from the company, which went on to face many challenges. But the company adapted to every challenge it faced, going from losing money to being highly profitable, along with overcoming the issues with fraud. And then in June 2001, the company changed its name to PayPal, and the company raised $64 million when they went public in 2002. By that time, 70% of all auctions on eBay were accepting PayPal, and over 1/4 of the transactions were done through PayPal. And it was at that point eBay made the offer to acquire PayPal that Musk, Thiel, and the rest of the board couldn't refuse at a price of $1.5 billion. And it was that deal that served as a springboard moment that led to the making of 6 billionaires and many successful and revolutionary companies. Musk, having the most stock in the company, received $250 million from the deal, $180 million after taxes. He used the money to start a handful of revolutionary companies, such as SpaceX, the leader of commercial space, which recently completed the development of the most powerful operational rocket in the world, a company that has plans to develop the BFR, the incredible launch vehicle that will allow humanity to colonize Mars, along with plans to become a worldwide internet service provider. Musk also founded Tesla, a company that is bringing electric vehicles to the masses, one Model 3 at a time. Along with these companies, Musk recently founded Boring that hopes to develop a neural lace. Musk also founded the Boring Company, which is an infrastructure and tunneling company that helps to take urban transportation into the third dimension, helping out with traffic problems that are plaguing the cities in the United States and beyond. And today, Musk is worth around $21.3 billion. And then Thiel earned $55 million from the eBay deal. Being a financial and investment whiz, he used the money to start an investment management hedge fund called Clarion Capital. And one of Thiel's key investments was being an early angel investor for Facebook. Along with his investments, Thiel also founded Palantir Technologies, a software and services company which specializes in big data analytics, a company that employs more than 2,000 people. Today, Thiel is worth around $2.5 billion. And then Reid Hoffman was the executive vice president by the time eBay purchased the company. After leaving PayPal, Hoffman went on to co-found LinkedIn, the world's largest professional networking site, with over 562 million users, encompassing over 200 countries and territories worldwide, and is the 34th most visited site in the world. Accounting for his stake in LinkedIn and other investments, Hoffman has a net worth of $3.3 billion. And then Luke Nosek was vice president of marketing and strategy at PayPal. He and Thiel went on to start a San Francisco-based venture capital firm called the Founders Fund. He was actually the first institutional investor in Musk's SpaceX, and today he's worth around $1.2 billion. There's Ken Howry, who was PayPal's chief financial officer. He went on to co-found the Founders Fund with Nosek and Thiel, and today he's worth around $1.5 billion. And then on to Jeremy Stoppelman, who was vice president of engineering at PayPal. He went on to co-found the popular crowdsourced review site Yelp with fellow PayPal employees Russell Simmons and Max Levchin. Today, Yelp has over 100 million unique visitors between its internet and mobile platforms. Finally, there's Jod Karim, Chad Hurley, and Steve Chen, who all work together at PayPal. They went on to found a video sharing site called YouTube, the second most popular site in the world behind Google, where the world spends 1 billion hours every single day. So when you see the news of SpaceX's latest achievements in space, when you see a Tesla gracing the highway, or when you log into your LinkedIn account, read a review of a local restaurant on Yelp, and every video you watch right here on YouTube, now you know that their origin stems from the incredible story of the PayPal model.
Oh, come on. Stupid fucking music. PayPal Mafia.
What up? It's your boy Robin Black here. We're talking about Max Help.
I don't pick anything.
I think they need to get rid of the pay-per-view model. It's obviously not working. What do you think they should do? I think they should put these on for free. I think they should call on ESPN these major fights.
How are you gonna pay people?
Well, the pay-per-view model.
Top 4 NBA guys are getting more than the top 10 NFL quarterbacks, and those games are all free. So there's a model somewhere.
Right. There's a model, but this model's not working.
Yeah, but NBA is way more popular than the
Well,
UFC.
yeah,
Sure, but it's also free.
Right, but also the sponsorship deals, the endorsement deals are, they have major endorsements.
Right, but there's only so many endorsements that we get behind cage fighting. It's such a crazy
Harley
sport.
Davidson, Ford,
Right.
Bud
Right.
Light, Miller Lite, like we got some big
More
ones.
now, right? Yeah. The same amount of people, but also the same amount of fighters, same amount of NBA players, about 500. Yeah. Yeah, there's no comparison in terms of overall viewership, though. Like, what is a big basketball game? NBA Finals, 35 million. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I
Millions
think
and
that the
millions
pay-per-view model is so old school, especially now with the legal streaming. Me and Jay were talking about it.
Right.
If I'm not that guy, because I'm not trying to steal money from UFC, but there's a link I can go to every time that's an HD. I have to pay a fucking dime for it. Everyone, so many of my friends do that. I have so many people. So
They're going to jail when Uncle Fester finds out.
So when the numbers are low, you got to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Most 18 to 36 males can figure the fuck out. They're not like $70. No.
I wonder if you just had it free, if the numbers would be. Well, it's like you got to make a big fucking risk to do that because you got to think of how much money the UFC has to pay every month to make that loan, make that monthly nut.
That's on them. That's not the fans' problem.
That's
The other problem is think how expensive to be an MMA fan these days. So I got to fork that money for ESPN Plus now just to watch.
How much is that?
Was it $9.99?
You could call it low, like $5 a month. It's like, I think it's 10.
Okay. $9.99. So you got that right.
When does that go live? Because Fight Pass is still
2019 January. So you pay for that. So that's money, additional money. And then pay-per-views. There's one every month. So if I want that, that's $70. So that's $80 a month just to be a UFC fan.
Yeah.
Now if I want to watch Dizon Bellator, I gotta pay. How much is that gonna be? $9.99 to watch the Bellator. Is that what it is? Let's say it's $9.99. Less than that, I would assume it's up for on the streaming service. So
well, if they just had a free streaming service and then had ads, do you think they could make it up?
I'm sure. But my point is, it's getting expensive to be an MMA fan, and you're losing fans. And the numbers are on decline. So obviously, there's a business model problem.
What if they made a deal with Netflix?
They tried that. Netflix, Amazon, those guys didn't want to play games. They went, your audience isn't big enough. Really? No, Twitter went, we'll use the NBA. We're going to do the NFL brand. Because the other sports are too big. Twitter. What if they show on Twitter?
Can you get Twitter on your TV? If you have it on your phone, you can almost mirror it. Yeah, you can just send it to the screen. Yeah, well, your phone runs out of battery. It's the middle of the fight. Your friends call you pussy.
plug it in.
Sometimes it's not linking, it's not playing off your phone directly.
Now, when you do it, I do it through Apple TV, but you could do it through Google Android, right? You can do like Google Play, you have like a stick that fits in the USB.
For sure.
Yeah, that is a little symbol.
Interesting. I mean, that all used to be science fiction just a little while ago, but I see shit on my, someone sends me a YouTube video to watch. If I'm home watching something on Apple TV, I'll just stream it right to the TV.
100%.
That's amazing.
Oh,
There's a little symbol like on the top by the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Broadcast.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like UFC has this old school model right now. But with the UFC Plus, ESPN Plus, it's at least heading in the right direction. But the pay-per-view model, especially as expensive as it is to be a fan right now, they're making it tough.
I think it's going to come a time where you're not going to need any streaming service. You just be able to type a website address into your television, and it'll be universal. Everybody will have that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's real close.
Like a lot of people getting rid of their cable.
Yep.
Dish,
Apparently, young kids they never watch cable.
ever.
Yeah.
I'm a Dish fan, but most young kids don't fuck with any of it.
Yeah.
Like, what, Dish, what?
It's interesting, right? The only,
Comcast, huh?
the only thing it's good for really is live
Sports.
events. Yeah. That's it.
Everything else.
Netflix is more popular than broadcast cable and more in TV viewing. Hulu and YouTube. Wow.
The thing I read says it's got more viewers than all of these combined. But
Wow.
That's right.
Broadcast, cable, Hulu, and YouTube. Netflix has more than everything. See, if Netflix got the UFC, that would be crazy
For the UFC.
for the UFC.
Netflix, like, dude,
What if they
what?
just launched?
What if they say,
What if they just said we have so much?
like, how much is it now?
How much is
What's that?
4 billion? Okay.
Just write them in the chat.
We'll just buy it. It's like a pair of sneakers. that you never
Just let
buy.
them fight every day. Just they could do it, man.
I wonder. Yeah, that would be. But then, how would you figure out how people would pay? You'd have to give numbers, right? You'd have to be in the contract because that's one thing about Netflix. They don't want to give away the numbers. So if you have a comedy special on Netflix and you ask them, "Hey, how's it doing?" They go, "It's doing really well."
Yeah, but
We're
you
really
know,
happy.
yeah, but you know, because like you, they go, you want to do another? And like, oh, must went pretty well. Now, if you do a special on there and you're like, how we doing? Like, all right, yeah, keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah.
If you want to do another, we're all set. It's probably gonna go well. You don't have exact numbers,
Right.
which I feel like is a little hairy, a little dicey because you have no negotiating power.
Yeah,
It's
super
zero.
dicey.
Because if you're like, hold up, let's say you, for instance, you're like, hold up, 100 million people watch this. I need more fucking money.
Right.
Like to them, it's 5 million watching it. It's 100 million. Where we at here? Let me negotiate. That can't be right. Like that can't be good.
But it's their business. They started it. It's just, the thing is like
That's gonna change.
you don't
a
have to
little
do
bit,
it there,
don't you
right?
think?
But you can do it on HBO and then you get real numbers, or you could do it on Showtime and you get real numbers, or you could do it on Amazon. Jeff Bezos tells you go fuck yourself. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, Jordan Peterson.
Hello, Mr. Rogan. How
You're
you doing?
very spiffy today.
Thank you, sir.
This is a new look for you. You've been rocking the.
let's talk about Colby Covington. Obviously, now he says you guys trained before